Kia ora, friends. You know how you go to the beach some mornings and there is the most incredible sunrise, or you'll be sitting on the deck with some friends and there is the most incredible sunset, or some days you'll just go out and look at the starry night and think to yourself, oh my God, the stars are so amazing. Well, the thing about astrology is this is something that happens all the time. There are these entry points, these portals, these stepping in points where you get to walk into a sunrise, you get to walk into a sunset, you get to be bathed in starlight, and you get to be bathed in moonlight. And we know about this because we just know because it feels good. So this is something that is buried in our consciousness, but it is part of our evolution as a human species and as galactic beings. And in this next demonstration with an amazing client, I am walking her through her chart, and I'm using this example deliberately to show you how you can be connected into this sacred relationship of cosmology, which is you assimilating the non-physical into your physical. It's more spirit in the body. It's more of the cosmos that is in your cells. Okay, even the tiniest particles of matter in every trillion one of your cells is 99.9999999% space. You are more space dust than you are human. And if you don't believe me, Google it. Quarks, gluons, quantum physics. The space, which is at the core of your nature, is very, very fluid. We have our own probable map of energy, which we get when we are born, when we take our first breath. It relates to our place on the whenua, on the earth, and it relates to the whole sky above us. And so that is our chart. And then as we move through our life, we get to make choices around how we use our energy, how the energy is recycled, and how we tap in to this infinite field of possibilities, this infinite field of everything, all energy. We move with that positively. Wonderful things continue to happen right before our eyes as we snap our fingers. Knowing astrology will open this door to you. Knowing cosmology, which is your place on the earth and at the sacred relationship with the cosmos, not just the physical sky, but all of the thought consciousness. The more you know that, the more you open the gate easily to these amazing influences and to this amazing cooperative co-creative partner. Well, in this demonstration that I'm working with Veronica, I'm going to show this to you using her example, but it will give you a greater understanding of this rich knowledge system. It's thousands of years old. The early Babylonians or the Greeks made it very tangible, told me mapped the skies, but before that there are many wisdom traditions that contributed to this knowledge, and it's really just knowledge of the cycles is the flavor of sunlight, because we have a solar system. We are the Earth orbiting the sun with a whole lot of planets which are flavoring the sunlight, and it is the flavor of the starlight. Okay, so the stars in the sky, they're particularly visible just before sunrise and just after sunset. And of course it's the moon, and who doesn't feel the impact of a full moon? I hope you enjoy this. I'm switching out of my live stream mode into my recorded mode. I'm so excited to share it. And if you are interested in opening the door to your astrology, email me at info@manifestersunite.com. I will read your chat. It will be live streamed. That if you're interested and you want to be a guinea pig, particularly if you are from the South Pacific or Aotearoa and you want to step into your galactic knowledge and hook up with that unlimited esoteric knowledge, hit me up. info@manifestersunite.com. Links are below. Enjoy watching. Kia ora, Dorotka. It's lovely to be with you again and to record this session of your changed astrology. I really just wanted to honour the moment. Did you find the date that you found out you had a completely different birth chart? It's really important for us to actually acknowledge that date.
I can find the exact date. Release of information.
Breaking news, Thursday. Was that last week, Thursday?
So I received it on September the 7th, Wednesday.
Awesome. Thank you. So that is a very important day. You need to mark that in your diary. That's a universal sign. I just thought, firstly, I'll share this because I think this really helps people to understand. Understanding, and I say cosmology, is understanding the relationship that we have with sunlight, starlight, and moonlight from our place on the earth. And that is both when we're born, we get a chart, and it's the entire heavens. Not just where the sun is, which everyone knows about, or the dumbed down version, but it's the entire heavens. So there's the sun's placement, and then there's the sun's placement and all of the stars, and then there's where the moon is, and they give us this quality or this flavour of sunlight or just light and shadow that we get as a gift, and with our free will, first law of the universe, we get to choose how we shape it. So it's so important to have that birth time. So this is I'm sharing my screen. Can you see this here?
I can.
Okay, this is really cool. It's coolplanetstoday.com, and I love it because it actually shows the planets as they are, and it doesn't show the stars as well, but it gives you a view of where everything is in the sky. And so you can see with these planets here, that's actually all the retrograde planets at the moment, and it shows the sunlight on the earth. And I think part of the reason why people get so confused with astrology is not only it's a very complex system that maps the whole sky and then the thought consciousness behind that, but also for us down under, because we are 12 hours ahead, our view of the sky is upside down to the majority of astrologers who are using the Placidus system, which was developed along the time when Ptolemy mapped the actual skies, but again, they were Northern Hemisphere astrologers. So even the date, the spring equinox, which is the 21st of March, which is when our zodiac starts, or the counting in the sun calendar, here it's our first day of autumn. And we are in the start of the zodiacal year, with the spring equinox. This is actually our start of the year if you're using that sun calendar, because it's spring, first day of spring. But then if you apply the cosmology, which is knowing the whenua under the heavens, the actual Māori calendar is very, very different, and actually starts around the time of Hinitākaroa appearing, which is Sirius, which is a big star. So quality of starlight's really important for this Pacific area, which was, because stars were used to navigate and used for the crops. At the maramataka, the moon, these three systems were used in a very different way. That's kind of a precursor to understanding your own little chart, is actually understanding the cosmology of your place. So it's important because you were born in New Zealand, and I'm just going to fire up your new chart, which I've got here. Can you see this, Dorotka?
I can.
The other reason why this is so important, that the 7th of September was when you found out your true birth, is because we're in this really interesting star portal. And if you think about it, throughout the year, these kind of portals open. It's a bit like a sunrise or a sunset. The quality of some sunrises and sunset is different to others, times of the other days of the year because of the weather. Well, it's the same with astrology. So that 7th of September was like a stepping in point for you to come into this new place of knowledge and knowing. Just look above your chart. So you've got your own chart.
My own chart.
Your own chart, which is here. Can you see this on screen?
Oh, the new one. Yep.
So this is your chart, and this is the position of the heavens when you were born. So if you think this is Earth here, and this is east, west, south and north, and I'll go into that in more detail. But it is the really interesting thing with this is if you look up above, you can see the transiting planets as they are shifting and changing. So I need to go back to the 7th of September, but there's some trigger, and I think it's in here, in this star, in this, you see in your first house. The first house is always self, and if you look, you've got Venus and you've got the Sun that have been transiting through your own planetary energies, which we'll go into. But you have got these 3 planets which are in the first house, and one of them is your moon, which is in Virgo at 5 degrees. So you can see what I mean, that this is an important, what's happened is the quality of starlight and planet, and sunlight, the planets orbiting the sun with the earth, has triggered your first house. First house being yourself, your character, your personality, your will. And here you are finding out not only when you were born, but there's a bit of decoding that is coming through. Does that help to make a little bit of sense about what's happening with the timing?
Yeah, I was actually just trying to double check that date, but that's okay. It's either the 6th or 7th.
Yeah, it wouldn't have
I'd
mattered.
have to
What's happened is,
look.
I think it was probably the sun, either the sun going over your moon, or because Venus has just gone over your moon as well, and Venus is, is relatively important to what is happening. Where Venus is in the sky is actually, in Virgo, is actually a really, really important time. Yeah. So that is, so I'm just going to give you do you have any questions before we get into this that you would like me to work through with you?
Not at the moment.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll try and give you some sort of understanding of this so that you can help to unpack it. So starting, I think the first place to start is always to understand the rising sign. So before, with your birth chart, which I think you said, is it 12 or 2? Sorry, I know you said that to me before, and then I've just got left in my mind. Was it 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 12:40?
12:40. Yeah, was the estimated time.
Yeah. So we've had a shift to 2:25 a.m. What this means, because the system that we use is that northern system, it takes it back to the universal time, which is Greenwich Mean Time. So that put you at, it would have been in the middle, before it put you in the middle of the night. Now it's in the middle of the day. But the really interesting thing about Aotearoa and where we are is that everything is back to front here. So while it was 2:25 in the middle of the day on the other side of the world, here it is at 2:25 a.m., which puts all your planets under the horizon. So really, if you can imagine, astrologies are really all it's both a cosmology and astrology, but it's a symbolic language. So all of these energies, and this is really all this is, it's that quality of the stars, of the moon, and of the sun's flavour on the earth. It starts with that sun on the horizon. And that is when you take your first breath. If you went outside at 2:25 a.m., this here is the heavens like that, and it's just been turned up to come into your chart. So we have this sun on the horizon, and for you, that is in the star realm of Leo at 18 degrees. I'll get into the degrees in a minute. They're really important. So that sign is for Leo. And then this is the horizon. So if you were looking out, you would have seen the horizon, and it is from east to west, and it is from ascendant to descendant. So ascendant is really the early moments of your life, and coming through to the later movements where you pass over. So that's the line of consciousness. And then if we come up here, we've got this powerful line here, this black line, and that's your power line. So those are, I describe this here as your whakapapa line. So the ancestors that you were closest to, and you drag their energy through your backbone. I'm hopefully not going to do too much move, up all the way through into the midheaven. So that's called your IC, and that comes up to your midheaven. And it's the cusp of your 4th house and the cusp of your 10th house. So some people say this is home and this is work. I say it's much more important like that. It's the power that we drag ancestrally. It's our human lineage, our whānau lineage, our whakapapa. And it comes, sorry about this, it's very sensitive, this Mac, to, it comes up and you drag it up. And you can see, and another really quite interesting, so you can see here the elements. So fire to air, and again, and you've got another fire to air. There's a double axis, Dorotka. Did you know that? Has anyone ever pointed that out to you before, that you have a double axis? Yeah, it's my experience that people who are very strongly in touch with their extra perceptiveness beyond the 5 senses tend to have a double axis. Normal charts are fire, earth, water, and fire, air, water, and earth. Get it right.
Right.
But to have a double axis means you have this double power of fire and air, fire and air. Yeah. So what happens with the line of consciousness, that's how you think, between Leo and Aquarius. So Leo is those real qualities of leadership and of the self, and being, whereas Aquarius is leadership of the group, and it's the conscious mind and the conscious collective. But it's so, so important to note here that because we're back to front, that a Leo here is more Aquarius, and an Aquarius is more Leo. And if you think about that, I always explain that to people who so do you prefer to be do you prefer the warm weather, or it to be, do you like the chillier weather?
I prefer the warmer weather.
Yeah. So Leo in Aotearoa is the heart of winter, but because Leo on the Northern Hemisphere is the heart of summer, we like to be warm. And also, some of my, one particular friend who's a very good astrologer, she says, Kamel, you're such an Aquarian, you're so not a Leo. And I'm like, oh, thank God for that. Like, my Leo flavor is a little bit different because I have Sun in the 1st house. You have Moon in the 1st house and it's in Virgo. But I would never in 2 million years pick you as being Leo.
No, me neither.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I find so surprising.
Well, yes, but it's Leo Aquarius. You're naturally bipolar. You have, and I mean that in a really good way, because it's a polarity. So like nothing is, once you understand your other half, once you can understand the opposite, it ceases to be an opposite. It's just a way you can think about it. And so it's actually a gift that we have here. It's a real gift to be able to have that as part of your consciousness, which you just have. But it's really interesting, because the difference between the 2 charts of yours is actually really not that different, because you still have the same axis, which is the Leo Aquarius. It's just flipped around with our flavor. And because your sun here is over right on the cusp of Libra and Scorpio, you this Leo Aquarius flavor. Sorry about that. It's fiddly between. My mouse is really fiddly. It's this natural alignment of those energies. And again, it's just the flavor. It's a flavor that the star realm of Leo and the star realm of Aquarius give to the orbiting planets who are orbiting the sun. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's your line of consciousness. You also have here from your IC up to your midheaven, it's the line of power. And it's really interesting to look at the placement of planets. Like if you have planets that are quite close to your either IC or midheaven, they can indicate, well, particularly when they're down here, they often indicate an ancestor who is very close to you. So with Leo in Scorpio at that 27 degrees, you would have had a powerful, and I would say female ancestor who has been instrumental in being part of your journey and part of your guidance, and is easy to reach in your own reflection work. So that this is the power line. This is how you bring your lineage and drag it up and make use of it in this lifetime, in this present lifetime. So for you, that's around in your midheaven is Gemini, which is that, and also really interesting because I see I've got these little stars here. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is Aldea, I think. Algol. These are the stars that sit and guide you. So you've got you've got a Gemini star ancestor who is there of guidance. And also it's really interesting, this transit here into your midheaven house. Mars has recently come into Gemini, and Mars is the planet of action. So it's really spurred, and certainly from my discussions with you, I can hear this. I'm ready to go on a new journey. I'm ready to initiate some new stuff. That's a very much a Mars and Gemini transit. The portal that's up and opened up above has generated a new desire, a new pathway. Mars is all about taking of action. So this time of communicating and speaking and being able to give voice to your thoughts really is your phase for this next time of your life. I don't like to give years, and because it really depends. Some of us take quite a long time to mature, and others are quicker. So it just depends on where you really want to have that flavour. But the Venus in Scorpio is quite a challenging position of Venus because she's doesn't like to be in Scorpio. It's a bit like the journey of Persephone, where she's held under in the mud, and she's unable to give that lovingness that is naturally her way. She's held down by the dark, the shadow side, which in itself is, but which I think is really just interesting to think about the female lineage in your whānau and what they've come through to and what they've gifted in you, really. So that's an ancestral guidance that you have. Okay, any questions so far? Did anything come up?
Would the female lineage be my mum or further back than that? Because my mother was a Leo.
Isn't that funny?
And I don't know about my grandmother. I don't know much about that, but I could find out.
Well, it's somebody who had a strong Scorpio influence. You've got a bit of, you have that Scorpionic, and that energy. Someone was strongly was very strong Scorpio. But also it could be deeper than that. Like it may not. It may be where you get your healing gifts from and the love of healing, because really the realm of Scorpio is to transform the loss and to heal. I mean, healing, it's a natural gift that we all have. It's just that some are more in tune with it. And so this love of healing and sharing the gift of healing with others, that I would say that comes down your maternal line, but it may not. It may go deeper than that. But it's definitely something, it's an energy that's available to you and that you've always had, which is why you are, you've done so much in the healing realm. But it's like you've dragged that up, and this phase of your life is actually about communicating and sharing that ability to with others, or even the teaching side, which is so strongly with you, but it may be more vocal. And I know you've been writing and really getting in touch and letting that be a very free flow space, which, and an intuitive. So it may be that's how you're using that gift, which is, I'd say, is on your backbone, is very close to you. Yeah. Is there?
Awesome.
I always ask people. The other, I got to say, the other thing for me that's really interesting with this is your other chart. Everything was in the heavens up above. So the under the line, this is nighttime, right? This is because the line of horizon, you can't see any of these planets. And so the 6 realms are the physical realms. The realms above are the skies in the day. And these are the universal energies that we have. And you used to have a real, your chart when we were reading it, everything was up here in the workspace, but now it's in the realms of the of personal expression, as opposed to, the universal. You still have strong, it's great to see your 12th house. I'm going to go into that, but to see your destiny is in your 12th house, which is in the realm of whenua, or spirituality, and deep creativity. And often psychics have strong 12th house placements. Yours is the work, Mars being in your 12th house is a very significant action planet to be able to work in that realm. And maybe potentially where you're going with the Akashic stuff, work, it could be, that can be opening up there. But it's just really interesting to see suddenly this whole shift.
I know. My world literally turned upside down.
Yeah. But you see, I think maybe that does go with the reading of, of cosmology. Like, you needed to be deeply in your place down under to really understand. And maybe I know you've always been fascinated with astrology, and maybe the door is going to be fully wide open for you actually to get it and to understand it from, your place on the earth. Maybe that's why, it's been a different chart and confusing.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's hope so. So I'll try and shed a little bit of light on this. So the way that the realms go, let's deal with these first, and then we'll get into the symbols. So the first house is self. You can this is a realm which has everything to do with your own vision, your own initiation, your character, your personality. That is the first house. The second house is it's kind of known as our own resources, but I think, or as an own money, but I think of it as, it's part it's our self-manifestation house, but it all boils down to security and how secure we feel. So we take our vision and we make it secure. The third house are thoughts and communication, and again, you can see your first, second, and third houses are pretty full of energy. They have planets that were there, and some of these planets are personal planets and others are generational. So we share generational gifts because the outer planets move very slowly around the sun. Pluto takes 287 years. Neptune, 200, late 200s as well. So these are they're generational planets when they shift through the signs and through the different houses. The fourth house is rootedness. So that's why you had that your whakapapa comes from your early rootedness. So it can include your hometown, your relationship with nature, your family. I just want to make a few more mentions about the third house just because you've got so much energy there. So it's thoughts and communication. It's our siblings, it's our neighbours, it's close travel. It's generally the realm of Gemini, which is for you is up here. Gemini is over your 10th house and your work house or your public life house. So Gemini normally rules the 3rd house. Your 4th house is ruled by Sagittarius, so that's your whānau space, or your tribal space is actually, or your rootedness is actually ruled by the planet of manifestation. So the realm of manifestation, which is Sagittarius. The 5th house, which is creativity, which is normally ruled by Leo, which is was working with young people, for you is ruled by mostly Capricorn, which is here. Just because you don't have a planet there doesn't mean anything. It just means that some of the other houses where there is a density there are gifts and challenges to be realised and to be worked through, lessons to be learned, and for gifts to be they're easier to come by. But not having other houses full doesn't really mean anything. The 6th, so 5th house is creativity and progeny, which is, we create, we make children. The 6th house is experience, and it is service to ourselves firstly, and then to others. And you can see, look, you've got this planet here is Saturn, which is work and perseverance and limits. So that's in your 6th house. 6th house also covers the mind, body, and soul and pain, and is normally ruled by Virgo. Virgo normally sits over here, whereas yours is Capricorn and Aquarius. And then we come up to, so Aquarius is and again, if you look here, this is really interesting because Saturn has also come over Aquarius for you. Saturn is in the last phases of Aquarius. This is the planets up above, but it's triggered in you. It would have gone over your work planet at some point.
So what does that mean?
It's triggering a different way of you looking at your work, looking at limitations for yourself. It's probably why you've been introspective about what it is that you do next, because you're encountering some deep challenges around how you put limits around yourself, about perseverance. All of this is, and because Aquarius rules the conscious mind, it's very close to how we think, where the conscious mind is our logic, it's our rational. So when you have a Saturn transit, which is this here, it depends. If you're intuitive, it makes you think. If you're not, Saturn will give you a little limitation to remind you that you need to be asking yourself and finding alignment for yourself, finding the balance, because all of this transiting energy and opening doorways or energetic doorways is to force us to go within and to make sense of it for ourselves, to become our own authority, particularly Saturn, because Saturn is the planet that likes to make us work. So, and you know that better than anyone. I know how hard you question yourself. And some of that may be just saying, well, this is a time where you need to become the authority and to really clearly step into your power. Often this is what a Saturn transit can bring us back to. If we don't do the work, we'll get a reminder that we're not doing the work. Yeah.
And so the 6th house being...
Most people say healthy routines. People say it does cover health as well. But I think I look at it from always look at it from a deeper perspective than just the mundane way that people describe it. So it's a realm of service, and it's service to oneself first and foremost, but then to others. And to serve is not to the wider world, which is Pisces over here, or the wider cosmos, but it's in a localized way. So it's how we serve on the day, how we go about our daily routines and how we put them together. Coming into the first house, which is a universal house, the seventh house, and people say this is the house of relationships. I say that I agree with that, but it primarily comes down, the relationships you have with others are always a reflection of the relationship you have between the little you and the big you, the outer you and the inner you, the physical you and the core, the non-physical creative core within you that creates everything, so your higher self. This is reflected here. Your house, if you look at this, it's ruled, has Aquarius, but a big influence on the quality of relationships is Pisces. And Pisces gives you this, you've got your Jupiter in Pisces, which is your planet of manifestation. And which essentially, if I was to sum that up for you, I'd say, well, you have the power to use spirituality or anything non-physical to create from, particularly when you're in a sustaining, when your relationship with yourself is solid, and or with relationships with others or partners. Because the seventh house traditionally for most astrologers is considered to be marriage house, partnership house. Open enemies too, you've got this, and you can see you have this, there's some open enemies from the traditional, and you can be hurt, and those wounds, being hurt by other partners that you have, and they may not, it doesn't necessarily have to be in a life partner, it could be people you go into business with. That is, in Pisces it can feel like a really significant wound. It's the weight of the world, Pisces. If someone hurts you, it could be very pain. Or if you're feeling hurt because you're reacting to the stimuli that somebody else has done, that can be a very deep. It can take you a while to get over that. You can feel. I always describe Pisces, because it's the last sign in the zodiac and it's got all the flavors of all the other star signs. It's very, very, very deep. It's like it collects all the cosmic dust of the universe. And Pisces often get walked all over because they're so mutable. So it's so mutable. And it's all of source and all of the energy of all of the cosmos. There's all way to it. It's the entire river of spirituality. Pisces is a big energy to hold and how you relate, and how you relate to others. But if you bring that into your core creative self, you have the universe as your higher self. No pressure. And you get it wrong in Chiron, it can feel like a universal wound. But then your manifesting power with Jupiter, which is this little 2 degrees of Pisces, that's a big manifesting power, as you know.
So does that explain recently, as part of my writing practice and following inner guidance, one of the messages was to open doors, because, as you know, I have been exploring my next sort of path and deeply drawn to the Akashic, deeply drawn to the spiritual path and what I do with that. But I guess in order to know that that was really my next step, I opened some practical pathways to do with, working in mainstream health. And no surprises, the doors, I got as far as an interview and being interested, and then the doors were closed. So does that reflect anything in this house of relationships between higher self and lower self?
It's really funny you bring that up, because I was going to say, so you've got a pivotal planet down here, and I really would encourage you to spend a lot of time in really understanding the Venus and Scorpio journey. I mean, but essentially, Dorica, and this is a bit of, it's called a T-square. So it's a challenge with the pivotal planet down there being Venus right on your IC. So it's probably an intergenerational trauma that sits in around loving, and that loving of self, and that honouring of self. So the doorways open and close according to, for you, they open very significantly in this realm of whenua, and in this realm of all of spirituality in the non-physical realm. And they also exceptionally practical, and with this Virgo probably in the health sector. You can see that in the first house, because Virgo does have a very, it does have that flavour of service and mind, body, soul, not holistic health, I say, not just health. Yeah. But then it comes down to the quality of how your Venus, or how you are loving, and how you love yourself, and how you resolve, because how you come in, how often are you in your heart when you're opening these doorways, and not in your head, which is a challenge with Aquarius Leo, because Leo can mean an overdominance of ego. I don't think it's a challenge for you, but you definitely, and with your Saturn in Aquarius, you overthink and
don't I know that?
and doubt and doubt and doubt and doubt. And whereas if you can sorry, ask away.
That's interesting, because I'm spending more time down in Venus. I've recognized that overthinking is not serving, hence the writing. Because when I write and tap into something different, which is not my head, it is my heart, I get a different answer, and I'm learning to trust that and run with it and not question it. I've still got the intellect here. I've still got that.
There's Saturn.
But
there's Saturn.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. And we'll get into the lines of it. And also I really love, we'll get into the blossom, the blossom point for you, because you're actually open to this massive universal influence. But I think it really comes down to the quality of Venus for you, and which is just how much you're loving yourself, how much you're honoring your heart, how you feel about, something. It's almost like you have to walk around activating your, heart center, which is why this is why I really wanted to read your chart, because Leos don't have an issue with their heart if it's a strong placement. So I'm Leo, 24 degrees. My sun is up here in the first house with Venus right next to it. I never have a question about, and my heart is always, I never have an issue with my heart or loving. It's just, I love I just have this, it's naturally open. I'm not challenged with that. But for you, because I think it's such a trigger point, and I do think there's I think why you're in the Akashic Records is there's some healing to do intergenerationally around being able to love yourself, honor yourself, and honor what you love, like really love. Not just think you may be able to contribute, or think what might be able to help others help over here. There's a big I will help others over here with and we'll go into your moon. But it's really just honoring the way you feel is so huge. Yeah.
Very helpful.
And it does unlock. Look, it unlocks. When you get it, it will unlock. It's really unlocking the power of partnerships, and it's really unlocking your psychic, your drive as well. Your drive, which is is Mars and Leo. That's a powerful drive. You don't meet many people with Mars and Leo. It's almost as strong as Mars and Aries. It's but it's probably less. Mars and Aries is very self-focused. Mars and Leo is very driven to create and to leave a mark that is of significance. It's a real leadership quality. But and I'm going to get around to that, but when it's buried in the 12th house, it can be hard to see it and feel it. And particularly when Venus is being embattled down here and has been hidden away for many years.
So there's an ancestral thing happening down there with Venus, isn't there?
I think so. Whakapapa.
Yeah.
This is your power line. It's the IC. Yeah.
I think there's some links there because my grandmother died in her 30s. Her mother died in her 30s. And there's certainly been some trauma there. So what that means in terms of my predecessors, I feel there's a link there, put it that way, at a gut level. My mum's passed over, but she was 5 weeks shy of 90.
It was a break that occurred and that she escaped. And you probably are just going to continue that, inshallah, as God willing.
Yes.
But it does, the loving is very important. And because you can do the work to send the love back down your line and really heal those, particularly if you're doing the Akashic work.
Well, I just think, what might a young child think when their mother passes at 35 or 36? Not me, but my predecessors. What was going on in their head? My mum's not here anymore. Is that because there's something wrong with me? Kids have a weird and wonderful way of making meaning of these things.
Yeah, which is maybe why you have that placement, because it's up to you. It's partly your responsibility to be able to shine the light back through those generations and to do the healing. I often think that that's one of the ways of a light worker, is to just create that opening of light and love to go back. Partnership house is 7th. 8th house is for you is ruled by Aries, and there's been a lot of action up here as well. It's 8th governs other people's resources. So do you know much about John's astrology? Do you know much about his?
Nothing.
Yeah, so that's something to maybe look at. And often our spouses are here, other people's resources, or it can be family. It just depends a little bit on what energies are there. Without seeing the full chart, you can't really know that. 9th house is the house of beliefs. So these all mirror each other. So the universal is the we to the I. So the 9th house, I love to explain this because your thoughts, ideas are down here in the 3rd house, and how you manifest them are your beliefs. And that's the 9th house. So, and the 9th house is the teaching house. And for you, that's Taurus you've got this Taurus energy that's coming through to Gemini. And it is really interesting what's happening at the moment in terms of the moon's nodes are in Taurus and Scorpio. And it's a really important time for this whole Taurus energy, because Taurus is the north node. This is in terms of the universal patterns. And we've also, so north node, destiny node there, and we've got Uranus up here, which is important for Aquarius because Uranus rules Aquarius. Uranus is one of your was a ruling planet when you had that other chart, but I think because of your Leo Aquarius flavor, Uranus is still an important influence. And also in Aotearoa, we're ruled by Uranus. New Zealand has and again, this is not what most people say because they use the Treaty of Waitangi, or they use the colonialist capture of our country to determine our chart. But if you go back to when actually the migrations come, we're actually Aquarius, and we're ruled by Uranus, which makes sense because Uranus rules earthquakes and earth events, and we have huge earthquakes here. And I think I read it was channeled by Jane Roberts. This book here, it's right in my bookcase, this Seth Speaks and the True Nature of Personal Reality. Amazing book. But there's a chapter in there about how we all shape the weather. And so souls who come to Aotearoa, we're attracted because we have to learn to manage the power within. And when we don't, it just goes down to the tectonic plates and causes more earthquakes. So in my own practice, I'm always sending love to the plates because somebody has to balance everyone else's shitty energy. But Uranus and Taurus, so this rules your teaching house. So you're meant to teach. You know, if you desire to teach, it's ruled by Taurus, and there is some really. These stars here are the Matariki stars. And this is important because the flavour, even though you have this Gemini influence on your 10th house and on the cusp, and you are a natural born communicator, you're meant to write, you are meant to publish your writing, you are meant to speak, you are meant to teach. This flavour has this very this Taurian energy, and Taurus is ruled by down there. There she goes, the planet Venus. Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury, and your Mercury is over here in Libra. And actually has a lot of blue lines, so you have some connections, trine to Saturn. How you work and communicate in your work house is supportive, and also you've got a connection between your 12th house, we'll get into that, with how you communicate. But if you're going to move, the more you write, and you've already identified this, the more you do that, the more you'll benefit in this phase of your life. And again, you can see up here, Mars has come into Gemini. There's been a shift. The heavens have opened, the starlight has streamed through, and it's come down into your midheaven life. And here I am reminding you of that which you already know. 11th house is the house that Aquarius normally rules, and that is the house of groups. It's the house of the internet. In your case, it's ruled by Cancer, so the home space. So that would often mean, friendships come through family, through whānau, and they're whānau groups are very important. And I certainly know that from the way that you have approached the connections in your husband. It's like that's why, because this powerful influence of Cancer, which rules the home, is ruling your group space. If you really want to get into the whakapapa of your own and at a group level, at a really significant, like group, you will do this from your own position of rootedness, and that's the Cancer influence. It also Cancer rules our relationship with nature and Mother Earth, and this is something that you can share with groups. It's a natural ability that you have with that flavour on your 11th house. And this 12th house is the realm of source, normally ruled by Pisces. You've got this water influence with a bit of Cancer, and then Leo. Leo doesn't really like being in the 12th house, which is possibly why you may not even identify with it, because Leo likes to be out there on the stage. So to be hidden away and to not even know that we're being hidden away, where it's actually, you know, the lion is in the closet, and it's not and not only that, you've got this, you've got your action planet, which is in Leo, which is a really strong placement, and your destiny, your North Node. The North Node is 5 degrees of Leo. Your destiny means you're meant to lead, and you're meant to realize your drive to need, but you have to uncover that out of the closet, and it's a deep closet because it is very hidden.
So interesting. I just had a client contact me, and she's been a client for many years, and she follows my evolution. And she said to me, "Where are you at?" I love to know where you're at. And it was really funny because I wrote back and I said, well, at this very moment, and I only just wrote back to her this week, I said, I'm coming out of the closet. I said those words exactly. So it's funny that you should say it in the way that you did.
The difference is yours is not coming out of the spiritual closet like most people. Yours is coming out of yours is bringing through your materialism, your earthly. You've got to come out of the earthly closet and bring that forward. You have to get you have to like bring out the natural born performer and stop hiding away. Most people need to come out of the spiritual closet in that they need to, you know, release more of their spirit. Yours is much more about like actually physically standing on a stage and going, here I am.
Okay.
And not doing any more blinking research over here. Saturn has moved out of your 6th house. There's no more research on the day load, because here's the thing: your destiny is to lead. Your destiny is to roar. A very thoughtful roar. It doesn't have to be like an unabandoned Leo, like, you know, look at me, look at me, look at me, and please can you pat my back. Yours is informed, but there needs to be some performances.
And can you tell by looking at my chart and knowing what you know about me, what I'm supposed to be up there performing? What modality, what theme, what topic? Because that's the bit that's unclear to me.
Well, it's things that you love, and I believe it's things that really motivate, or desires that motivate you and this realm. Okay. So when I say that, perform, it's not just performing any old thing. I mean, it's bringing your vision. So you've got this, it's a stellium of energy, and this Virgo moon and this Virgo star realm is so, like, I've always been a little bit not skeptical, but I haven't spent a lot of time in the Virgo star realm. I don't know why. I was prejudiced, I think, probably too many Virgos in my family. But but because it's like the black Messier 87, which is this massive black hole. It's the closest super galactic star, 17 billion, I think, of collapsed stars are in that black hole. And it's only just being discovered. Virgo A, have a look at it. It's so big, and it's in the spring equinox, which is this real time for us, which is about to, be triggered. But so the performance is around, it's the service, and you've got Uranus here, that's the planet Uranus. You have your moon, which rules emotions, and it's a very practical. Virgos plan. They are systematic with their use of energy. They like to have, they like to have lists. They like to feel comfortable. They like to know what's coming next. They're measured. So, but it's also a very, very deep realm of service to humanity, always ruled by the Virgin. And you have Pluto there as well, which is it's your loss to transform. It's how you transform energy. So when I say perform, it's not in this, it's not on a stage in the usual sense, but it is using its performance around your service and how you serve people. Being prepared to stand there as the authority, as opposed to standing behind a modality, is what I'd say. I mean, you are the modality.
Right.
I know I've said this to you a long time. It's time for you to have your own modality.
Oh, to be a pioneer.
Well, it's your first house. And you're driven to
of
serve.
course.
Yeah. And you're driven to innovate.
Yeah.
And it's power, and it's important that you are able to bring this quality of you to serve, to help others. You can, so the performance is not, it's to perform in terms of being brave enough to come out and say, this is what I do and this is how I help people. And this is what is true to my heart and helping others, which you have done for quite a long time anyway. It's just that you haven't been that comfortable with saying that you do it. You're hidden away.
I've hidden behind something that's, I guess, more acceptable, that people can relate to.
Yeah. Or you've hidden away in little rooms as opposed to running big workshops or running retreats or, being, and one thing I used to not worry about, but I used to perplex me is because I was like, oh, you had a lot of 11th house. And I was like, you should be out there on the internet. And you've always said, I hate the internet. I really don't like anything technical. So your chart is beginning to make sense because it's like, okay, so probably it's a face-to-face. It's their face to, it's more, it's a physical being connected, not a out there on the internet. It's not a digital reach. It's
makes sense.
It does.
So it wasn't in my imagination.
Well, I mean, you've known all along, but I think the good thing about having a map is really just understanding. I'm going to run this through for you because this is really helpful. So this is this time of the year now when the sun goes in, and to some degree in late. So we'll start back in your 12th house. So when this is about 9th of July, early July, mid-July, your 12th house gets activated, which is when you really start to think about this theme of how and what steps am I taking, how am I carrying myself forward, how am I in tune with myself. It's a natural period of time, 12, when you actually are wanting to pay attention to how you're feeling with the energy that is above. So that time we're coming through to the end of September, we've got October, we've got September, this period from July through to, sorry, I've done that thing again, to my mouse, from July through to really, where are we? I see 4th, end of November. Time to get busy with all of your energies. It's auspicious for you, and time to get busy in terms of your own creativity and spirituality, the non-physical, your vision. This is the time now for you to set, to really be present with what your vision is, how you use your life experience to bring it to bear in the next wee while, how you initiate steps And then the second house is how you're feeling secure and how you physically manifest yourself, bearing in mind the sun here, and we'll get into the degrees in a minute. Then the third house, how you're thinking, how you're communicating, good time to write, maybe to publish a blog, start blogs, start books, all of that time. This is a good time. And then in the sixth house, so again, when we come around to next year, and you're in this period of from late, sort of just after Christmas through to the end, all the way through to the beginning of the zodiac, really, March the 21st, it's a time to work, to be industrious. It's a time to manifest. Pisces season for you, Aquarius. Pisces is a great time to manifest. I'm not sure if you've got events where that's occurred for you. Are you aware of when you're manifesting, particularly in relationships? So like if you want a business partner, if you're going to go into a business with somebody, this is a good time to do it for you. Or if you're going to embark upon some venture or manifest a venture, this is it here.
Yeah, okay.
And then always this period of your MC, and I need to look at the fixed stars for your MC, but there are fixed stars around, I think. I'm just, because I do know the gem might be Puanga, which for us is, because the Māori stars here are a little bit different as well. It's a time, so Matariki will trigger this. So we have Matariki depending on where you are. But it's a time where you'll just, early June is when you're going to be thinking, what am I doing in my physical existence? And there'll be some stars there that will just make you think a little bit more. So where your energy sits in the houses, you can use that throughout the year. And people don't tend to notice that in terms of when they have more energy or less energy. But you'll get from the way your chart is, this is a time when you do have quite a lot of energy available to you, planetary energy. You can step into that.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how you can use that.
Absolutely, and get outside and call it in. The reason why I got so passionate about astrology is my awesome friend who's an astrologer from New York who came here to meet me because I asked her a quirky question about the 29th degree, which I'm going to talk to you about yours in a minute. She said, look up at the sky, Carmel. She said, it's all about the stars. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? It's all about the earth. But ever since she said that to me, I was like, yeah, actually, it's about our relationship with the cosmos and what knowledge we can tap into. So that's another really easy way is get out and observe the stars. I've got an app here. It's called Sky View Light. It gives you the stars and the planets. Sky View Light. It's a free app.
Okay.
The time when you can notice more about the quality of starlight and even moonlight is at sunrise and sunset. The stars are beautiful. These are the stars here, the little blue, tiny purple blue writing. They're the stars that are actually sitting behind the sun, sitting behind, and these big cycles, 27-year cycle for the Earth, the pole star. And we're shifting. We've shifted out of the North Star, which we can't see here. We're shifted to Vega, or Whanui as we call her, which is 15 degrees of Capricorn down here. So it's a deep limit. We've gone from a very masculine pole star, the Earth's gravitational core shifts around 3 pole stars. So we've shifted out of Polaris and we're heading to Vega, the divine feminine. So it's the divine masculine to the divine feminine. The cosmos has a relationship which is cyclical in the way that we have our seasons. There are seasons of stars. The more you go out and look at the stars and the more you call in the knowledge, it just shows up in an easy way. And this is why the space here is really important, the 12th house, which is how you sit in your own meditation, how you sit in your own reflection where you're not thinking. If it's writing, if that's the way you do it, but it's where you're not. You don't have to know the answer. You're just allowing and surrendering to the universal guidance that's there for you.
Yeah, the writing I find is generally the easiest way.
There you go.
Right. It's the one where I take most notice, actually.
Really?
I mean, I have other ways of tapping into that, of course, but I find writing, there's more freedom with that for whatever reason. But maybe that, as you say, that air, was it air to fire?
So, you had some very powerful manifesting, super manifestors, and you have that in your backbone. And we know that because you're an amazing manifester, super manifester. But it's probably more localizing. It's the localization of that, which is your writing. And it's not so much going out there and doing the big things, but it's how you make sense of it through your own writing. And so it just pours through like a line. That's why the power line is so important, and what drives me crazy that people just say, oh, it's the ancestors you were closest to and how you work. Like, no, it's the highest expression of your physical self in this sort of
That makes
consideration.
so much sense. So much sense.
Can you just talk to me a little bit about some of what you've been doing with calling in light knowledge?
Oh, well, that's a little bit out there, isn't it?
Is it? Well, you're out of the closet.
Well, actually, I've just been I just made it more of a habit to get into the writing, and I have a very specific way that I anchor myself into that writing. And so I have a centering practice that I do. And then I have what I call an invocation. So I invite higher powers and higher beings to be present and to raise the frequency of what I'm doing, and I'll be very intentional about that. I'll say, it's for this purpose, but I have this invitation for these higher beings, the higher presence, to be available to me and to give me guidance and courage to receive that guidance, actually, because sometimes it's not what you want to hear. And then I will write the intention after that. And based on whatever I write, I just let a free flow of information come through. And then sometimes it doesn't even make sense, honestly. I look at my writing and I think, gosh, what was that all about? But then when I reread through it, not at that exact moment, but I generally take a day or two to go back and I see it with new eyes, because I find, because I've worked with the body for so long, I like to integrate it and embody it. And if I allow myself some time, then I can see the nudges, even through some of the waffle that comes through. Wow. I can see the nudges, and then I think, okay, how can I act on them? If it's not obvious, sometimes it's really obvious. You need to contact this person. You've been thinking about them. Contact them today. And
wow.
And it's always accurate, always, without a doubt. And if it's not so obvious, then I'll ask for more information in my next writing. And I might get the answer in the next writing, or in the one after that, or the one after that. So I'm kind of finding, if I get into a routine, and it's a nice little routine, it's like people getting out of bed and, maybe doing yoga and then maybe jumping in the shower and then brushing their teeth, or, it's a little bit like that. I follow a routine. It gets me into the groove. Sometimes I'll listen to music with binaural beats as I'm writing, because it stops my thinking brain overtaking. And I just let my hand do the writing. So, yeah.
How long have you been doing this for?
I started the writing last year. In fact, myself and a colleague had a little sort of challenge, and neither of us were very successful in the challenge, but I picked it up again, and I've probably been doing it, I guess, off and on for about 9 months.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love to know again, because I really think it comes to your, it comes down to your midheaven, and where, what is being triggered by the energies, and it's amazing how this is something that you've just developed for yourself, but then when you look at your chart, it kind of also makes sense. So I'm just
I've always written stuff, like I've got books and journals, forever. But it was more sort of when I was inspired, which I still do. But now I've actually made it more of a routine. I've identified that I want to write. So if you want to be a writer, you've got to you've got to have a practice of writing. And so I've just discovered that by doing it that way. And sometimes I use questions or prompts from my numerous, books on my bookshelf and my Kindle to get me started. If I'm sort of thinking, okay, what shall I ask for? I don't have anything in mind. So I'm always drawing on inspiration, whether it's responding to something or activating something or...
Okay, I don't think I've talked about any of the particular energies. So you've got your North, your Destiny and Mars are in the 12th house. You two stop fighting. The cats are fighting. Like I've got 2 cats here. There's Gigi, or who was Kitten Mitten, who had her tail, and then we've got a gold cat, and they've just started having a fight. And so in your first house, the realm of personality, you've got Uranus here in Virgo. Uranus in Virgo, the moon in Virgo, and Pluto. Pluto is the planet of loss for transformation. Moon governs emotions, and Uranus is the planet of invention. It's also the planet of earthquakes and earth events. When they're in Virgo, it's a very practically orientated power. So your emotions are practical, you're grounded, it's easy to ground. There's the embodiment, you talk about embodiment. There's your moon,
Yeah.
Virgo moon, practical. Good gardeners, good service, can dress a wound.
Love my garden.
Yeah, exactly. That's here. That's why. But also incredibly inventive. Like if you're going to do anything really inventive, it'll be something. There's something that's earthed. It won't be one of those inventions that flies off and it does damage. It'll be something that's very useful and has purpose and can be of service. Having Pluto here, so these are losses which would Pluto in Virgo is really experiencing loss, and it would have been it's almost like a visceral level. It can also involve pain, and because of some of your Pluto is challenged by Chiron, so the wounds can be big. They can feel like they're really painful when you've been hurt, when you have responded to stimuli that has made you feel, has challenged your emotions and has hurt. That's a big, so first house, 7th house challenges are always around what's stored in our unconscious that is trauma and how we've processed that. And because if you look, so Uranus is this aspect line down to Venus. There's that. I definitely think the work that you're doing is really uncovering what has happened generationally, intergenerationally, which we all have with our earthy lines, but it's for some of us, it's, we have to work through more of it for the whole of the whanui. But at the same time, you're really supported, your power of invention and your moon or your emotions are really supported by your sun, which is the healing sun, the healer's sun, and supported by Neptune. Neptune in Scorpio is a big dreaming power. It's a big, this ability to essentially provide real guidance to others through your own dreams and how you communicate them. And dream time, I don't know if you use very much of your dream time, but it's such an important place for us to place in our consciousness, those deep theta delta waves.
I'm not very good at remembering them, I have to admit.
You don't have to remember them, but if a practice which I've found to be really significant and is to have a journal, dream journal, and to just set little, not so much goals, but just like little nudges that you put into your dream journal. And if you have a significant, if you wake up and write it down, and just practice the whole lucid liminal dream phase, because everyone can access it, but it's just few people don't, and it's a place of great creativity. Plus the brain waves, the speed of your brain waves in theta and delta are what you are harnessing with your conscious mind in your writing, but you can also use them. You can also experiment with them in your dream time as well. And you may find that by using that space, particularly, to work with some of the intergenerational, it's your dream time that you can really do that work. But having a little journal is, I think it's, it's just one of those. I haven't got mine. I normally have it. It's 8 hours of free trance. Like, just try it sometime if you have a challenge. Go to bed and write. Just say, guidance, sort this out for me. I'm struggling with this, and wake up in the morning and see what happens. But because you've got this, your dream planet is in Scorpio, which is the healers. The dreams that you have, which are around healing, are going to be more profound for you than they will be for other people. And particularly because this thoughts house is on your power line. Neptune is quite close to your power line as well. It's like you can dream and heal eons and reshape the narrative that was and find, like, there's a reason why you're studying the Akashic records. There's a reason.
There is.
Yeah. So use your use your dream space, get a dream journal and just experiment. And you may be very surprised at what you drag up into this realm here.
Well, given that I can, get into a nice meditative state to do my writing, and that is generally successful, it makes sense that I might want to try the dream space as well.
Absolutely. And particularly I got to keep going back to these pivotal planets, your dream planet Neptune and Venus. And the degree, I haven't said much about the degree, but maybe this is a good time now just to say that. So the 27th degree is a very important degree because it is aligned with the galactic core, which is in Sagittarius at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So I say to people from the 19th to 21st of December, pay attention. I always have a wānanga on the 20th of December. I just don't take work. I have a wānanga for myself because the whole galactic council is open to us if we're attuned, if we're prepared. And whatever comes through in that time, pay attention to it because there's something there to use it's just one of those stargates, but it's Te Kuri, it's the plug of our universe. So it's the most massive black hole other than the one over here in Messier. It's just full of ancestral galactic wisdom and radionic photonic light. And it just streams through at that time of the year. And, it's just a rich time to allow the subconscious, this realm over here, where you hide away your ability to lead with a roar in your destiny, which is here. It's a time where you can receive great guidance. Yeah. The other is the 21st of September. You might want to note that down. The spring equinox is is a guiding black hole for your Virgo first house. Messier 87. And you'll have the recording as well, so if you need to go over it. But yeah,
I've just written it down.
The spring equinox, the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd of September. Really big times just to pay attention to what's coming through for you. Because when you zip into, you've got a busy time in late, your time of energy doesn't end in this period of Virgo. It comes all the way into Libra. And your Mercury, which is, look, if we see now, look where Mercury is. It's on the house of partnerships, which is your second house. So you actually manifest through feeling secure and having secure partnerships. So that secure attachment starts with you, though. It's wherever you feel secure. If it's standing in your garden, thinking about how you're going to write next, or how you're going to collaborate with others, or even if you just want to communicate, you may not want to communicate with people, or you may. This power of this partnering, the relationship between you and you and you and others, is your manifesting. Your second house is your resources. And you've got, I just love these little trigger points. Mercury and your sun, this deep Libra cusp, Scorpio sun, which is both Libra and Scorpio. You're in the late degrees of Scorpio.
Yeah, how does that work?
Okay, I said I was going to speak about degrees, and I have to. So anything with 0 degrees to 4 degrees is the pure essence. Anything from about 12 through to about 18, they're the movers and shakers of that star realm. So the quality of their star realm is to shake it up. And anything from about 26 through to 29 are the late or the karmic degrees, which means all the lessons and the depth of the lessons are packed into those degrees. And so if you think about, it's like the black moon, do you know about the moon phases? And where is you have a new moon. No, you have a black moon. Let me look. I think yours is, maybe it's, yeah, you might be.
The last quarter before a new moon.
Last quarter, yeah. So if you came over a bit further down here, the black moon is the phase just when it goes into the new moon, and so that happens for all of the other planetary energies. So the 29th degree is literally the blackest point before it becomes new. So it's where all the wisdom is kept. And in Scorpio, that's the deepest realm of all. But this is where the cosmology comes in for our place on Earth. So down here in Aotearoa, Scorpio is not the realm of scorpions, because we don't have any biting scorpions. It's the realm of Maui. It's the realm of entrepreneurialism. It's the innovation realm. And the only thing you have to remember is don't overstretch yourself, because Hine Nui Te Pō will go and squash you. It means don't overdo it. It means, grasp the light and be innovative, and particularly if that's motivated to serve others and to help others and to show the light and to be the light. But you have to balance it carefully, because it is a deep, 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 deep drive to do something that is innovative and is not like everyone else. Entrepreneurs are not like everyone else. They take risks, and they have to, they have to essentially be brave and go where others won't. And you can take that. You don't have to apply the entrepreneurialism mindset to business. It can be brave to go into areas of learning and uncover areas of learning through your writing that no one else would do. It doesn't have to be go and set up a business. Because of the 29th degree of Libra. So if you think of Libra as that partnering, diplomacy, relationships, the peacemaker, the team, keeps, it's a very balance, balancing the scales is Libra. It's balancing between the physical, you, and the physical co-creating self, the little you and the bigger you. And you're finding that balance. You find that balance by alignment. And because of that, you can heal others and you can heal yourself, and you can reach deeply down because you understand the need to align or to embody the spiritual, feel the spirit in the body. And again, these are all just energies. It's how you make sense of them because you are the authority. I have a perspective on cosmology being the sacred relationship that we inhabit between the heavens and the earth, between the physical and the non-physical. But at the end of the day, you are the brave navigator. And you are a very brave navigator with that power. And to bring this power to innovate in terms for yourself, I'm not, so you don't have to innovate for everyone else. It's primarily for you, is to bring it into your dream space and into what you love, which is in Scorpio.
Okay.
So it's the healer. It's the entrepreneurialist. It's the innovative healer with the great, you've got the whole realm of Libra behind you. Bearing in mind also down here, it's got Aries in there as well. So you have to see all these realms as their polarities and dualities that we balance all the time, the physical with the non-physical. But because of us, we've got to always interpret it with the other. So this is the when you're learning astrology, you really have to learn all of the signs and all of the realms of the heavens, and then all of the flavor of the starlight, and then your own and what's happening around you that's triggering the stimuli that causes you to go within and to drag up this power to write. It's happening. You're doing it anyway. Whether you know it or not, and with your conscious mind, you're doing it. You're there. You're totally bringing all of your gifts to bear.
Yay! It's only taken a lifetime.
Lifetimes, isn't it?
I wish I knew all of this stuff a long time ago.
You wouldn't have been able to make sense of it.
Yeah, probably. I feel like it's definitely all coming together. It really has. Yeah.
I guess the last thing is to look at this shape and to look at, when I looked at it, I thought there's so much of, if you can ask yourself one question for the rest of your life, it's like, how do I feel in my heart about this?
Yeah.
And really, that's all you're going to have to do from now on in. How do I feel in my heart about receiving this?
Well, that makes sense because I just wrote in the last couple of days, my next intention is to bring in more ease and joy. And that's across all areas of life, but there's three main areas where, I'd like the focus to be. And of course, ease and joy come from the heart, in my books anyway. So, that makes sense that I'm actively following that at this minute. And that sort of makes sense given that we're coming into September, October as well, that it'll probably be in full, possibly more fully revealed in a month's time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we never stop creating, do we?
No.
Leo, we never stop creating. We just have more opportunities to create and more opportunities to write and more opportunities to dream and dance and all of those other things. It's, there's so much. And we've only just covered the tip of the iceberg. But
I know.
I felt
That's
like it was
amazing.
Is there anything else that you want to just ask that is always, I know you've absorbed a lot, you are going to have a recording so you can go back and look at it, but is there anything that you wanted to, are there any other questions that? pop up?
The only other question really is, before my time, my rectified birth time sat in a Scorpio sun, and now it's sitting right on the edge of a Libra Scorpio sun. So does that mean, even though the sun sign is Libra, does that mean there's more Scorpio? Is there Scorpio energy coming in, being on the cusp, or is it just still whatever your sun sign is?
So tell me what you think, and then I'll reflect what I see.
Well, I have an intuitive sense that there is still a very strong Scorpio energy sitting there. I can't help but think that. I don't know why, and perhaps that's where you can tell me. It just feels that way. I'm seeing the Libra aspects for the first time, and I can see where I've sat in both camps, and because I often used to say I'm on the cusp, and decision making is just diabolical for me, and that's the Libra. That's so classic of a Libra. I can see all sides of a story, until I wear myself out, and then I make a spontaneous decision anyway, which is very Libra. And then there's the Scorpio of, the deep dive. It's definitely this deep dive aspect. I love digging deep. I love going beneath the surface. I love being the detective and finding things that others can't find, So I'm just curious to know how that shows up in this chart.
So again, I think I keep going back to Libra just because, Venus, because of the placement. And you've got to remember, so it's not just a cusping sun. You've got your dream planet and how you love, the flavor of your loving in Scorpio, and their significant placements. It's a concentrated amount of energy. And I think where you talk about not being able to make a decision is largely to do with where Mars is in Leo, hidden away in the 12th house. You didn't even know that you could lead. You've got to give yourself permission to lead. You've got to give yourself permission to, live your destiny, which is that Leo, a conscious Leo, like a thinking lion, not a normal lion. You're a thinking lion. But this, you've got, really it's probably more so Mercury being in Libra, you can communicate with more diplomacy than others. And possibly you're not so irritated by other people. Scorpios can often get very, even though they like to delve deep, they can be quite irritated by the, But you've got a stellium here. You've got two stelliums or strong concentrations of planetary energy, and there's one there, and then there's one here in your Scorpio in the realm of late Libra, right on, and it's right at so it's 29 degrees 42. It's so close to tipping over.
So what's the tipping point?
It'll be 29:59. It's like an nth of a second, or a couple of seconds away from being a Scorpio sun.
Amazing.
29th degree, if you want to do a bit of research, is an Antarctic degree. It's a very significant degree for astrologers. You've got all the wisdom of a Libra, but the pure essence of Scorpio is there, which is to heal, to transform, which is to innovate, to take forward, which is to te whaiao, is the light in te kori, that is the spark that ignites. And that is the 29th degree. It's that like Scorpio is that realm where te whaiao is, that Maori used to fish up the islands. So it's a deep realm full of knowledge and full of ancestral knowledge and gifts to share for the benefit of future generations. Big powers to manage. Let us not forget your 7th house, this realm of Pisces, which is very mutable and is very fluid, has no boundaries, exceptionally creative. You're on the right path because you are integrating with your Gemini, writing, just fluidly drawing up that energy, which is both the realm of manifesting, the abundance, the realm of Sagittarius, which is all beliefs and how they vest. Beliefs manifest. They create their blocks of energy that draw. So you're dragging that up with the support of of your Venus and your dreams, which are deeply in Decode.
Great to know, isn't it, that I'm on track?
Oh, you knew you were. Come on.
It's just, I mean, I kind of knew it anyway, I suppose, but it's really nice that you can actually, show it in a constructive way, and that, what I sense and feel and intuit actually has some sort of cosmic basis.
And the other thing is just like use these times, sunrise, if or probably more sunset for you with that, just coming out and standing in the garden and looking for the stars if you can see them, and paying attention, getting the sky view light and tracking them down. There's just incredible wisdom when you call it in. As you know, I don't even need to tell you this, you've been already doing that, but this is another place for you to call in the ancestral star wisdom. Wasn't that fun? I really hope that you enjoyed that. And if you would like some more information or to connect with us, the links will be below. And I've got a book coming out in November, in the heart of manifesting season, which shares quite a lot of this cosmic wisdom, as well as lots of other manifesting tips and tools. And you can join our mailing list by going to my website, and as I said, the links will be below. So thank you for listening, and may the universe be with you. Mauri ora.